Welcome to all of you. I'm going to just tell you a little briefly about Alan Chamberlain. Many years ago, almost over 60 years ago, he was my scoutmaster. So he's a pretty old guy. I'm not, but we were both raised in a small town in Cedar Fort, Utah. And Alan went on to do a lot of different things. He worked for after he served an LDS mission, and we were raised on the Ochre Mountains on the west side of the Salt Lake and Utah Valley. He got home and went and was able to get. He attended 5 universities and earned 5 degrees, including his PhD at Colorado School of Mines. After working for Exxon, Gulf, now it's called Chevron, Marathon, and Placid Oil Companies, a group of all major companies gave him the financial incentive to start. We call it Cedar Strat. It's just a long thing of data and everything else that he has. And he worked here in the Great Basin for all these years. I don't know if any of you know what a structural attitude is, but it's where you go like to climb mountains. Alan is crazy on a motorbike, on a motorcycle, where he'd go up and down these mountains, and he would get structural attitudes. And what that does, it tells you the structure of how the particular rocks and the formations of that they're at. And then on top of that, he could tell you what was there at that particular time. He then computerized all of that. He put a deal together that he carried on his back, and that back, when he did all of this, answered to over 20 satellite locations up in the air, and he would type it in of what was there, and then he'd go home and download it in his database. So he's got this huge database of all of eastern Nevada. He can tell you where all the different locations are. And there's a lot of things going on out there that we have to go through. The United States has to go through and so forth. And because of this database that Alan has, we've got a lot of things happening in the Great Basin, which really gives us a good chance to. And he actually started all this for the oil companies. That's why he was doing all of this. In 1950, in the 50s, Shell Oil Company took went in the Great Basin, and they spent 20-something years here in the Great Basin doing exactly what Alan has. Alan had a connection with Shell, worked with them, because what had happened is he went with all of these people that had worked for 20 years for Shell Oil Company here in the Great Basin, and they took him out, and they showed him all the information, and then gave him a lot of the things. Well, that was very concerning to him, so he went to Shell Oil Company in Houston, Texas, met with them, and said, "I've got all this data. What do you want me to do with it?" And they basically, when they walked away, they left all this back. And Shell Oil Company says, sent him a letter and allowed him to take this and build on this information that over $200 million that they'd spent trying to find out what was in the Great Basin. So with that, and with the over 70,000 structural attitudes that Alan's got, he's got a great knowledge of the Great Basin and what we can do. Well, with technology the way it is today, things have changed a lot, and that's his database is very, very valuable for this country and all the things that we need to do to protect the country. And we've got minerals and oil and gas and all these different things that Alan has been able to find and work with all this information. So I just want to share that with you. I've known him for many, many years. There was when I sold my business here in Las Vegas, I spent 5 years working with Alan, and I was able to get some things done with him. And so I know quite a bit about what he has done, and I'm grateful to have Alan here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rick. I don't know if any of you know Rick Bailey. He owned Neptune here for 30 years in Las Vegas. He had 3 other employees. He had offices 3 different cities throughout the country, Washington Airlines and doing other things. So he's and a few years ago, I had Rick help me put together a video for a oil and gas show down in Houston, and we had to have a star for our geologist showing how to take shale samples. So his daughter, who was Miss Nevada, was the star in the video he put together. And so that turned out real good. We took down all these old guys down in Houston. They got real excited to see this beautiful lady out there with, taking a geologic instrument and taking measurements. Anyway, that's Rick Bailey, but thank you, Rick. Okay, well, let me, I gotta kill one thing here. So I'm temporarily the president of Toiyabe Mining Cooperative, which is a sister association of Marietta Gold. And when I say temporarily, in December, all the members of TMA, this cooperative, are going to be getting together and nominate the board of directors and then choose new management. I feel very humbled to be in this group. I feel like a pygmy among giants. I have hardly any experience with business, and here I am with all you business people here. You know a whole lot more about how to run a business than I do, and I appreciate being among you. And those, I was so concerned about getting ready for this, I sent my slides out to a few people to review it, and I very much appreciate those that took time to go through and help me upgrade the thing. I'm used to giving technical talks, geologic societies. I've earned several awards, national awards doing that, but to talk to business people, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. So I hope you'll bear with me as we go through this thing. But anyway, and I hope in December we get a new board of directors and they appoint new directors or new management for TMA and have better management. I don't expect to be known as a good manager. When I started Cedar Strat in '84, I sold my home in Salt Lake City. I got $35,000, invested it in the business, bought a bunch of IBM 8088s. By Christmas, I had my first $1.5 million. Hit the jackpot. I found something the oil companies wanted, reinvested all that, hired a bunch of geologists, went out and took a lot more measurements, and then the price of oil fell and I lost everything. So been there, done that. A little bit about my family. My first wife of 44 years passed away 7.5 years ago. My second wife of 2 years passed away a little over 3 years ago. And now we got Rebecca here, my third wife. And between Rebecca and I, we have 10 children, and we have 8 and 8.5, if you want to call it, 8 grandsons with 1 in the hopper. And so that's my family. I love my family. My Down syndrome son, that's a little bit late this morning. He's nonverbal. He's on his way to Opportunity Village. That's where he goes every day. And I love walking him around the temple every day. We live up near the temple. He was told a few years ago that he'd never walk again by 2 orthopedic surgeons. They gave me a prescription to a wheelchair. I took that prescription, ripped it up. I gave him a priesthood blessing. And Dave and I have been walking to the temple every day since then. He can walk. And I don't care what those doctors say. But so let's get into the fun part here. Mining is the second largest industry of Nevada. Okay, and Nevada produces, what is it, 84% of America's gold. It's one of the 4th largest gold producing regions of the world. Used to be number 2, but now we're down to number 4. And most of that $10 billion annually goes out to foreign national or international mining companies. Very little of it stays here in Nevada. My goal is to divert some of that income stream to the business people here in Las Vegas. And that's what that's what I really want. I've got a passion to do that, to be able to turn that stream, instead of going out to these foreign companies, to Nevada take advantage of it. When you look at the Great Basin, we have all kinds of minerals. We have gold, which is the big one. Also, we have copper. We have the Ruth mine up here in Baile. We have the Bingham Pit, which is the biggest copper mine in North America. And we have a lot of other copper deposits and other mineral deposits in Nevada. It's loaded. This is one of the most mineralized areas on Earth. The problem is the state of Nevada, the legislature, has never got together and voted to put up the money to have a geologic survey made. It's never had a geologic survey. So that's why it hasn't been fully exploited. Okay, so the Toiyabe Mining Association, there's two ways you get revenue from members of the Toiyabe Mining Association. You get streaming income, which is when you sell a mine or sell a prospect or sell the lease to it. And then the royalty. We keep royalty in everything. And that's where the big bucks come. The streaming, you get the bucks quick, you get a quick return on investment. The royalty is what we really want to get. That's the big income. It takes a long time for the mine to develop to get the royalty out of it. Our main competition for this kind of a business model is Franco-Nevada. Its revenue is $1.3 billion in 2021. And we also have Gold Royalty. That's a littler company. That only had a revenue of $11 million in 2003. It only has 1,500 claims. My goal is to have 10,000 claims. Okay, just multiply that out. You make a lot of money on it. Okay, why do you think we can get away with this? We got the competitive edge. We've got the data from Cedar Strat and from Marietta Gold, and none of these other companies have that. Newmont or Barrick, and none of them have it. So we have the competitive edge to be able to compete and turn that revenue stream, that $10 billion, into the people here in Las Vegas, to the business people here, and that's my fire in me. The database, these little pyramids out there, you see little all over Nevada and Utah. That's the measured sections that when Rick referred to Shell Oil Company, they took them out in helicopters, and that's where they spent 20 years, $200 million collecting data. Then I went back and remeasure all that data. The Lord revealed to me how to take a scintillation counter and get a gamma ray log of the outcrop like they do of wells. And so we have a digital database now of the Great Basin. The only company that has it is Cedar Strat. I showed this data to Exxon a few years ago, and they said, Alan, it would take Exxon, one of the biggest companies on earth, several decades and several $1 billion to duplicate what I showed them. We're 20 years out ahead of Newmont and Barrick. We can compete with those suckers, and we get that money coming here. Okay, so my guys went out, we measured the sections 5 feet at a time, all these mountain ranges, all those spots out there, thousands of feet, 5 feet at a time. I told my guys, whenever you see a shale, a clay-looking rock, take a sample of it. We're looking for oil, and shales that's where you generate oil from, is from black organic shales. And I want to get a lot of samples of those, and that's why I took those samples. We have the largest shale collection of the Great Basin. Well, shales also worldwide have the largest mineral deposits in Germany and South Africa and other countries of the world. It's the shales. None of the mining companies in Nevada have really focused on the shales, but I have. And that's a shale. So we take these shales, we analyze them with what they call an XRF spectrometer. Okay, this is Lyric McMaster, the geologist, leaned over with his instrument there. He's the secretary of this TMA. The treasurer is Brant Bauer, the other guy there in the bald head there. And he got me back there, the ugly guy, the president. Okay. But anyway, you analyze these samples with this XRF, and it gives you a readout of everything that's in that rock, all that elements, and how much you have. The intensity of the light coming back from the X-ray bouncing back tells you that how many parts per million you have of different elements, of a whole suite of elements. And so that's what we did with these rocks. Here's a map showing the where we analyze these samples. And I'm just going to focus on this morning as an example is antimony, and I'll show you why we're so focused on antimony this morning. Can't chemical symbol of it is SB. That's why it's SB. It's antimony. And if worldwide black shells have about 5 parts per million antimony in. Well, in the Great Basin out here, we have 567 samples with elevated antimony, over 5 parts per million. Why is the Great Basin rich in antimony? Well, there's got to be a point source for all this. And when you look at the analysis and find out where the highest numbers are, they focus down there in Lincoln County. And that's where we have those, there's 70 samples, over 100 parts per million antimony down in Lincoln County, except the one up there in the Toiyabe Range up there in Lander County. Well, there's a reason for that. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about antimony. Antimony is essential for night vision goggles and arbor-piercing ammunition. They require antimony. Okay, now think about this. We just depleted all our armaments by sending all our armaments to Ukraine. We have to replenish our depleted armaments here in America, and we have to replace that with antimony. Well, there's an important thing here. 3 days ago, China just got cut off 63% of our antimony needs for America. Right when we need it to rearm ourselves, we don't got it. Okay, it's been cut off. And so 63% of our antimony has been cut off from China just 3 days ago. Well, what has that done for the prices of antimony? Well, in 2020, antimony is only $6,000 a ton, pretty cheap. 2 days ago, it's $26,000 a ton, and they project by the end of this year, because of the cutoff, it's going to go to $30,000 a ton. Now, the spooky part of it is also the photovoltaic sector needs antimony. They think they're going to increase that to 68,000 tons by 26. It's 2 years away. And they're increasing that from 16. So now the price of antimony is going to go even much higher. Okay, we're in trouble. Okay, let's look at China for a second. Where all that antimony come from? Well, in China, the antimony mine there is in the Hunan province of China, down there towards southern China. It's called the Xikuangsang antimony mine. And it's if you look at the dimensions of it, it's about 13 kilometers long. It's about 4% richness, 4% concentration. Well, I want you to keep those numbers in mind here in a second. And if you look at those red circles in that area, that's the mined out area. They've been mining that since the 1400s. Okay, China is running out of antimony out of their biggest mine on earth. Pretty spooky. That's maybe one of the reasons they're cutting off, besides all this trade stuff that's going on. That's another one of the things they may be cutting us off, because they just don't have it. Well, guess what we just found? 3 weeks ago, analyzing our samples and looking at those higher values, we found a sample up there with over the average percent concentration that China has. Our deposit is about the same length. And when you calculate that out at the price today, that comes out to about $1,100 per ton. Compare that with the gold companies. They're happy if they can get $4 a ton for their gold. Look at that, $1,100 per ton for the antimony. Much richer, and that's before the prices go really high. So what we want to do is go out and stake 250 claims. The claims are available. Nobody's ever staked this antimony deposit. It's wide open right now. We can go out and stake it today. A claim is 600 feet by 1,500 feet. We need to stake 250 claims if we want to have Park Place and Boardwalk. If we want to have the monopoly on this antimony deposit, we need to stake all 250 claims, and we can have it. We can own it. Okay? So why is the antimony down there? Well, there's an area here, this red blob down there in southern Nevada is where we find an interesting rock called a breccia. Now, when my cedar strat geologists first saw it, we thought, well, this rock is a rock that's all been broken up. We thought it might have been by a reef talus. And the only place you'll find it is down here in southern Nevada. Well, I had kind of a neat miracle happen. When I, after I got my master's at BYU, I tried to get a PhD there. They don't do PhDs at BYU. I applied to University of Utah, and they says, Alan, we don't believe you have research ability. You're not accepted here at University of Utah. Over Wyoming, they says, you're not woke enough for us over here in Wyoming. I got accepted at University of Nevada, Reno. We had two really greedy professors that wanted my multi-million-dollar database. They finally came to me and said, if you don't give us that database, you're going to fail here. The day they failed me in my PhD comprehensives was the day I received a letter from Colorado School of Mines, the best school in the West, says you're accepted unequivocally, come to Colorado. And then when I got there, I picked out my advisor. Had it been anybody else except that man, Dr. Warmy, I would have found out the truth about these broken up rocks. There's a picture of the rocks up there just north of Area 51. You can see a big chunks of limestone and a dolomite. And Warmy looked at that and he says, Alan, this is caused by a meteorite impact. First time I ever heard that. Oh, I said, holy cow. We've got a major meteorite impact. It's probably the biggest one on Earth in southern Nevada. So when you take that impact area, you lay the antimony over the top of it, and rare earths, by the way. There's your distribution. You've got 70 samples with over 100 parts per million, most of them within the impact area, a few of them out to the east there, and you got one down toward the south. The very southern edge of this impact area is Mountain Pass rare earth deposit. It was the only rare earth deposit before China decided to take a monopoly on it and took over the rare earth market. We provided all the rare earths that did all the color TVs back in the 50s and 60s. They all come from just south of, just across the border into California, the Mountain Pass. So not only do we have antimony, we have tremendous amount of rare earths. You heard about that in the news at all? Oh boy. Okay, every cell phone here has Chinese rare earths in it. We don't have to have China anymore. Okay, we got it. Okay, now you say, well, why is some of those samples off to the east there? Well, part of my master's thesis at BYU, I studied the antler orogeny in the Mississippi that occurred after the Devonian, and those Devonian rocks are lifted up with all that antimony in, and the streams flowed back to the east, and that's why you have that kind of off to the east there a little bit. So members who join TMA not only benefit from the antimony deposit, but also benefit from all TMA prospects, including TMA's 35 gold prospects, 36 vanadium prospects, a mineralizing soil prospect, and a copper prospect so far. We've only analyzed a part of our samples. I got 6,000 samples in the library. We only analyzed about 2,000 of them. We got a lot more to go. So when you talk about odds in Nevada, we kind of do that here in Las Vegas, we have stacked the deck. That map of showing all those yellow spots in Nevada shows where you find gold. It's almost everywhere. You can't hardly go without finding it. It's almost hardly to miss. And the more projects you have, the less risk you have. The risk goes down. The more projects we get going, everybody has less risk. Now the TMA set up to everybody shares equally in the claims. If Rick has a claim with all the gold on and my claim is a dud, I get the same amount of money out of that claim as out of, everybody shares equally in all the claims. So that's how it's set up. So everybody shares equally. Depends on how many claims you have. So the bottom line is, I need your help. We need to stake 250 claims right away. If you can help us out with that, if you know some people that are interested in talking to me about it, I'd be glad to have lunch or meet with you after some other venue and talk about these things and ask questions. But the goal is to put the second largest industry into the hands of you all, if you want it, and get this stream, just get revenue stream coming into Nevada, not through taxes, right through the people that own the claims. They will sell those claims to the mining companies and take the royalties, and we'll all benefit. The goal is to see if we can make millionaires out of everybody that belongs to the TMA. And also, I need your help to help me know how to take over the management here in a couple of months, because I'm not qualified to manage the business. I love finding rocks. I find gold mines. I find oil, but I'm not really good at business. So I need your help, and you're the ones that know how to do all this. So anyway, with that, if you have any questions, please ask me, and we'll try to answer them. And then if you need to get with me later, I'd really glad to meet with you later if you want to get together and talk about it. Thank you.
You never said how much a claim is.
Okay, well, good point. Well, I was trying not to be a hard sell and keep the numbers out, but since you asked, I'll give it to you. Right now, the claims go for $2,000 a claim for 20 acres of mineral rights. Okay. And so another question I've heard asked a lot is, when do we expect to get a return on investment? Well, one reason I'm growing this right now, toward the end of July, I spent 2 weeks up in the Toiyabe Mountains mapping an area. We've got a major silver deposit. It's only 400 million ounces of high-grade silver. By the way, silver is going through the sky right now market-wise. And as soon as we get the lease on that baby and I sell it to a mining company and I start generating money for all the people, this baby comes off and you'll see me clean shaven. You know we hit the silver. Okay, so there's a story, but good question. $2,000 a claim.
Hi, Alan. I'm sorry.
There you go. Thank you, Kim.
I'm curious about the Kinross gold mine up near Tonopah, Round Mountain. We've done some work up there. I've seen that enormous hole in the ground and the gigantic equipment that goes down and around.
Right.
They've expanded that several times, and they actually moved the town of Round Mountain a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm curious if any of the sites you're talking about would be that expansive or relative size. And also, is Kinross a U.S. company?
I'm not sure who the management of Kinross is, but much of the stockholders are out of Canada. But I don't know who the actual management is of Kinross. I'd have to look it up on the internet. I don't know. Good question, though. But yeah. Most of these mines are mined underground. Next time when I come back, I'll talk to you about mining in situ. Something Exxon started doing when I was with Exxon back in the late 70s, where you actually mine ore out of wells, and you have a very small footprint on the surface. We'll talk about that another talk, not this talk. Okay, go ahead.
Alan, good morning. Great presentation, good information. If we have somebody interested, do you have like a packet, like an information packet that outlays everything and the cost and something we can hand to somebody if they're interested? Or if someone's interested, what are we doing?
Okay, if you're interested, contact me. Everybody that joins TMA has to sign a membership agreement and has all the information there of what we do with the claims and who. TMA takes care of all the paperwork for you. You don't do anything other than pay the money to get into TMA, and TMA does all the filing with the BLM and everything, does all the paperwork. You can go to the TMA website, and there's information on there about more information. This presentation is being video recorded right now, and when Levi gets it all doctored up, we'll put it on the website. You'll see this again if you want to see it again. And there's a couple other presentations on the website. But just contact me. Again, I'm not a business guy, so I don't know how to do this right, but I'm trying. And appreciate the question, though. Thank you. Oh, the website is right there. It's www.tmacoop.com. And you can go right to that website, or you can I got some business cards if you want some of those. And you can go to that website if you want to go to that, or you go to cedarstrat.com. Go ahead. Question.
Good morning. With the current mining practices of antimony, how involved is the extraction process, and how many years worth of antimony do we have left here?
Well, let's see. We got a mine as big as the one in China. It's been going since the 1400s, so calculate that out for a couple hundred years probably. And how you mine it out, I'm not in the mining business. I sell it to mining companies, so I'm not a metallurgist. I don't know all the process that's going to go in. But with that kind of money, with $1,100 per ton, I'm sure it's like getting the Alaskan pipeline in. It goes in real fast. They will, and our country needs it now. We don't have time to mess around with it. So I'm sure I don't know about administration today, but normal administration would streamline that thing, get it in. Okay. Good question, Noel. Thank you for the question.
Good morning. Aside from an XR spectrometer, what does membership of the TMA come with?
Okay. Well, what's involved in membership? We do that besides the XRF analysis. The other things the first thing we'll do on this antimony deposit, once we get the claims, we'll go up and permit making some trenches and take a whole series of close space samples so we can get an idea of the volume and the length, and so we can get the ore richness, so we can calculate volume. You prepare what they call a 43-101. It's a thing all the mining companies like to have for their stock thing to be able to invest in it. So we prepare a 43-101 on it. But it takes a lot of money to do all those things. But thank you for the question. That's where a lot of the money goes to doing this. My goal is to hire hundreds of geologists. I'm getting old. I'm not going to be around a whole lot longer. I've got to train up a new team of geologists, take my place. And so that's where a lot of the money will go to, is new team of geologists to keep this going on long after I'm gone. This is going for a long time. Good question, though. Thank you.
I was wondering, for your $2,000 unit share, what does it cost yearly to maintain those mining claims? So if you have there's a cost there.
Yes.
Then there's a cost for doing this trenching, and what are the ongoing costs for those people that have a unit share of $2,000?
Very good question. Okay. Yeah, you pay the $2,000 a claim, like I said. Also, there's an annual fee. The old days, you only have to do $100 worth of assessment work. The BLM decided to get into the mining business. They want money, so you have to pay them a fee now every year to maintain your claims. It's $500 a year per claim to maintain the claim, and that money goes into, that's what pays for a lot of this trenching and geology and development of the claims. So the more times we pay the $500, the more valuable the claim becomes, the more easy it is to sell it. I'll be selling most of these prospects. They have what they call PDAC. It's up in, it's a prospect development fair up in Toronto every March. And that's where I'll take a lot of our prospects. I'll buy a couple booths up there and market these prospects up there. That's where all the junior mining companies come together. I've done this a lot in the oil business. I generated millions of dollars by going to these big conferences in the oil business. I'll do the same thing. That was down in Houston, but this will be up in Toronto for the mining companies. I'll be doing the same. And the goal is not to mine it. I'm not going to get into the mining business. The goal is to flip it to a mining company that will mine it, retain an interest, and also have them pay either a heavy-duty lease on it or buy it outright. And that's the streaming cash that comes into all the TMA members. TMA is a nonprofit Nevada corporation, so it has to distribute all its cash every year to all its members annually. It can't keep, it's not for profit. It's to give it out to everybody that belongs to TMA, just like any cooperative. Good
Alan.
questions, though. Thank you.
Alan, good morning. I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is the antimony deposit a hard rock deposit, or is it a placer deposit?
Okay. Well, it's a soft hard rock. Okay, if you want to say it. The biggest antimony deposits on Earth are found in shales and sandstones. That's what this is found in. There's little teeny antimony deposits found around intrusive, and that's really hard rock. That's expensive and very small and very isolated, very, very small deposits. This is a massive deposit. So it'll be in shales and limestone. And also the one in China was underground. This will be a surface mine, a whole lot cheaper and a lot easier to get out.
Understood. My next question is, Nevada's dropped to number 4 in gold production. Is that because our production dropped, or is that because other jurisdictions increased their production?
No, it's because of lack of a geologic survey. The mining companies don't know how to find gold. Pretty strong word, isn't it? I took Barrick and Newmont guys out in helicopter with me to look at things. They have no idea what's going on geologically, because those kids were brought up in schools that don't teach how to explore. And so the kids run these companies, and Exxon, the same thing, Chevron, they don't know how to find oil either now. Okay? They used to have back in the 70s, when I first left BYU, all the companies had these big research centers, and that's where they got trained up how to use geology. They did away with all those in the 80s, and all the mining companies did away with that in the 80s. So the new kids run these companies, I don't think they have any idea what they're doing. That's pretty strong, but that's just the way it is. But we want to change that. But good question. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. And the other question, you guys are easy. Man, I thought I'd get pestered with a few questions, but you guys are real easy. It's fun. And anybody wants to join me in the field, I've got a fleet of dirt bikes. That's how I get around out there. I love them. And you're welcome to come out and join me out. Go out and collect some samples with me. No four-wheelers. Oh, I love it. The reason I use dirt bikes is because there's lots of horse trails up in northern Nevada, and a four-wheeler can't get in there. Also, I'm a big believer in keeping the environment clean and pristine, and dirt bikes are a lot less rugged on the environment than four-wheelers. So I use dirt bikes to go up the horse trails and up the washes, and that's how I get out in the real back areas. And I've been using them ever since 1980, and I have a lot of fun on dirt bikes. Not four-wheelers. It scared me to death on a four-wheeler. Okay, but good question. Okay. Anyway, you're all welcome to come and join me. If you want to go on a hike with me up to see the mine, there's a mine up above the temple. I take people up there for Thanksgiving and Christmas. The rocks just before you go into the mine are from this breccia I'm talking about. And that's probably why they started digging the mine. They found lots of copper right there. Probably came in with this meteorite impact. When this thing came in, it introduced a lot of new minerals to the earth. And we want to take advantage of that. Unfortunately, most of that is in the bombing range. We're not allowed to look at it. The bombing range probably have more rare earths and antimony than anything else on Earth, but we can't touch it because in the bombing range. And we don't know the geology there. So anyway. What's that? Well, we got to do what we got to do. But anyway, but I picked my dissertation as close as I could to the bombing range on purpose because when I was UNR, was looking at this Yucca Mountain thing. And geologically, that's the stupidest place on Earth to put a nuclear waste dump. And I wrote an article for the Geotimes saying, is there a possibility that oil field might be under the Yucca Mountain waste dump? And DOE didn't like that, and they put a lot of pressure on Colorado School of Mines not to allow me to graduate. So it became a real political thing. But I picked that area up there so I could show the geology and project it into the test site so that the geology that the DOE forced the USGS to put on the maps was wrong. It's a fraud, put it gently. It's a scam, okay? Geologically, it's a scam. Anyway, go ahead. Any other questions? I love geology. I don't know if you can tell that. I love rocks, and I have a passion for that. And also, I have a passion. I have a passion for languages. Like I say, I'm learning Mandarin right now. Rebecca now speaks fluent Spanish. We've only been married 3 years. She's a mission in Mexico and habla español. And so I have a passion. We have a passion to try to help 10,000 families in Las Vegas, Latino families learn English, and I think I can help them do that. And that's one of my passions I have. But any other questions? You guys are fun, and thank you very much for letting me be part of it. I'm glad you put up with me because I feel like a duck out of water here with this group. But I love you and appreciate, and especially those of you that took time to review the talk a little bit. And you saw a lot of new slides here you didn't see before, didn't you, Ira? Okay, so I tried to make it better, less technical and more fun. So anybody had fun doing this? Thank you all for your time, and thank you.